Okay. I don't know what happened there. Let's try this thing again. Andrea's going to join me back here in a second again. All right. I kind of lost my signal here. I went and got a hands-free, and for some reason I dropped out. So I'm going to get Andrea back on here in a minute. Sorry about that little technical difficulty issue. Mike, can you hear me okay? Would you just kind of give me a thumbs up or something if you can hear me right now? Would appreciate it. Andrea's going to be joining me back here in a second. So we'll kind of see what happens here. I know it's... I run into this problem quite a bit. I don't know if it's my phone or what the deal is. So she should be joining me back here in a second. Hopefully the information that we got to you there before it died. Okay, good deal. Hopefully some of this information that she's sharing is going to be of some value to everybody. I feel horrible that I lost it, but one of these days I'll get this whole thing figured out. Hey, Wayne, thanks for joining us. We had a little bit of a problem here. There we go. We're going to bring Andrea back on. She should be coming back in here momentarily.
We're back. Yep. Still sound a little muffled. That's okay.
I got to get a better hands-free.
Maybe talk to Tony Justice. He usually can get people a hookup on our kind of stuff.
Actually,
oh, there you go. He's a good dude now.
That's right. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Where did we leave off? What was the last thing you heard? Or maybe any of the listeners, what were the last things they heard?
Yeah, let's see what the listeners have. Because I would have to get my hands free out of the camera.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Where are you at?
I'm at my house. Well, I'm north of my house, sitting in my dad's old 1994 W9 flat glass. He brought it out here to have some work done to it, and I was out here at the farm just doing some vehicle swapping, and I said, "Oh crap, it's time for me to be on with Jerry." So I just hopped up in my dad's old truck, and I don't know. There's party dolls laying in the.
Fire that thing up for a second, What up? Candace said the next step is economic.
Okay, what did she say? The next step was the economic. Yes. So the next. Yep. So the OMB has deemed the rule, the proposed regulations, which have been written, have been given its graces by the Secretary's office. They've been sent over to OMB in 72 hours, which is very fast. OMB has deemed the proposed regulations economically significant. So what will have to happen now is the FMCSA, which if I had a crystal ball to look into, I would say they've probably already been working on it, but they have to do an economic analysis. So essentially a cost-benefit analysis of, how much these regulations are going to cost, how much they're going to cost the economy, truck drivers, trucking companies, and they also have to justify a reason for actually going through with the regulations as well. Another question that OMB usually asks is, what is the cost of not taking action, so not changing hours of service rules? So they're going to have to justify that stuff as well. So then OMB will have to review everything that is sent back from FMCSA and give their graces. There have to be multiple layers of review and approval on the OMB side, and then those those regulations, the proposed regulations, will be published in the Federal Register. At that time, we will then have another opportunity. They'll open the comment period, and we'll have another opportunity to comment, which is a really, really big deal. So, this is our opportunity to be heard. By law, whenever a comment period is open for regulatory review, or when regulations are put into the Federal Register for regulatory review, it is required by law that every single comment that is received be read and considered. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to respond to you, but they all have to be read and considered, no matter how many they receive. If they receive 10,000 comments or 100,000 comments, which would be fantastic, they have to read and consider every one of those. So I wanted to let
to get involved.
Absolutely. And that's actually a really good segue into, something I'd like to let everyone and all your listeners know is Trucker Nation has actually developed a multi-page, but don't let that scare you, guidance document that will help you if you want to make a comment. It will help you through the entire process. So if you want to submit your comments online on regulations.gov, we tell you every single click to make, everything to type in. Of course, not your comment, because your comment is uniquely yours. We give you some ideas on what makes a good comment, but we tell you every click to make. If you want to fax it in, we tell you every step to take. If you want to write it down and mail it in, we tell you everything to do and include the addresses. With fax, we have the fax number. We have everything, and it's all laid out very easily, very easy to understand, and it takes the intimidation out of making those comments. So when that comment period opens back up, we'll definitely have that available to everyone. We'll definitely make it available to Chrome and Steel, so you guys can share it around if you want, just to kind of take that intimidation factor out of the commenting period.
Yeah. You got anything else you want to add? Because it's garbage when
It is. No, that's really it. Other than I just wanted to thank you for everything that you did for us at Matt's, and we hope that this is just the start of a relationship between Trucker Nation and Chrome and Steel, and that we can continue to share information and hopefully share your backbone, share your big old muscles when I need things loaded.
that's what we're all about. We want to be a voice for the guys.
Absolutely. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you got a lot going on. I'm going to continue watching and probably commenting. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, they can always reach out to me at Trucker Nation. You can reach out to me individually, or if you've got some sort of question, you can reach out to Jerry, and I'm sure he'd be willing to get me, any questions or concerns you might have.
You bet.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'll talk to you later, Jerry.
Yep. See you.
Bye.
All right. My connection was horrible. I don't know what the deal is. I think it's this wonderful Samsung 8. I guess it's time to update. Hopefully y'all got something. Great person to work with. She's put her heart and soul into this thing, her and Tony Justice. And it's proud to call them friends. And I see that another one of my new Bullhaulin friends here that I met down there at Matt's, the old Bullhauler Nation strong here. I see Eric Burton's tuned in right now, and Andy Irwin, wherever he's at tonight. I know he was headed back to Valentine, Nebraska. So Eric, one of these days, when you're out that way, you might say hello to Andrew. Or if you ever get in a jam, give me a call. Andy can help you out when you're out there. But no, it's just it's good to know that somebody's out there. Somebody from the trucking world that understands what we're going through. Andrea and her husband, they own a handful of trucks themselves, as well as Andrea grew up in a trucking family as well. So she knows the struggles that we go through every day and what it's like out there on the road as far as all the headaches and everything else that we deal with. That's why she's kind of made this a passion of hers to do something to do something for us, as well as, trying to make a difference. Just like we as drivers, we all need to be doing that. Everybody's always saying, well, I wish they would do this, or I wish they would do that. Well, we are the they now. With technology and everything else, there's no excuse why nobody can't get onto your smartphone, your laptop, your tablet, whatever you got in your truck. When it's time for these open comments and everything else through the links that we'll provide, as they come up, and try to keep everybody updated on what's going on the regulatory side of things, with the help of Trucker Nation. It's up to us to make the difference, because we don't need the mega fleets and the other organizations out there trying to make decisions for us. We need to be making our own decisions. We need to make our own voices heard. It's kind of the way I look at it, because this affects our livelihood as well as everybody else that's tuned in here right now. It's tough enough to make a buck out here and everything. There you go. We are the they now. I like that. That's pretty good. Thanks, Andrea. It doesn't cost anything to join Trucker Nation. I got involved with them just simply because I kind of felt it was somewhat of a passion. I gave up being an owner-operator 2.5 years ago and went to work for a cattle company. As a lot of you that know me, I was an owner-operator for almost 20 years. I just said, it's not fun anymore. Everything that we've worked hard for to build for ourselves, we after a while, you just get tired of the frustrations and all these unscrupulous brokers out here that they want to get in your pocket before it gets to you. It's going to happen. You've got to, at some point or another, we've all got to use a broker, which I've done. There's good ones and there's a lot of bad ones. But, trying to keep things moving forward. Yes, ma'am, that would be correct. Thanks, Candace. Howdy, Ray Beal from Alabama. Thanks for tuning in. We've got to band together, because nobody else is looking out for us out here. So, when there's these open comments or these periods when we can do things peacefully and these bureaucrats in Washington, I used to think they didn't care. Well, after I was sitting down at Matt's, I had a opportunity to meet with Jay De Lorenza, as well as one of his coworkers down there from the FMCSA. And these guys really do want to hear what is going on from our perspective. They don't want to hear from the organizations. They want to hear from the people that got the sweat equity, the time on the road, the years on the road. The guys that are out here beating ourselves to death on these roads that, they'll gladly take our money, but yet they don't want to put it back into it. So, this is our opportunity to stand together and stand united and affect the regulatory side of things, which that's where it's all at. We always complain. We as drivers, we all complain because, well, the government's shoving us down our throat. Well, if we don't stand up together, Bill Mahoney, thank you, Andrea. If we don't stand together, as well as individually, and make our comments known to the guys in Washington, or even at the state level for that matter, because there's a certain amount of guys that stay within in their interstate transportation side of things. The over the road things doesn't affect them as much, doing interstate commerce. But if we don't start making our voices heard, we're going to end up being more or less robots out here and everything else. And that's not what we wanted to do this. So thanks, Andrea. I didn't do nothing special. I did get their attention though, so that's all that mattered to me. I wasn't trying to get their attention, or there was no nothing in there about a shock factor. I didn't care about that, but it was very fruitful. These guys actually cared. Andrea and Tony and Trucker Nation, they didn't go to them. De Lorenza and Mahoney, they came to the Trucker Nation booth. They came out. They wanted to see what was going on. They wanted to have conversations. So, anytime that there's a forum, if you can bring something, and not just a complaint, complaints don't do any good. What I found over the years is the best thing to do is have a solution before you start complaining, or point out they already know that there's problems. But what we've got to do, united, is to make our voices heard, but give them solutions. Let them know what's really going on out here. That's where we make the difference. You know, any opportunity where there's, you know, a government official, you know, even with your elected officials, you know, regardless of which side of the aisle they're from, that doesn't matter. Those people represent us. We need to hold them accountable, regardless of party affiliation. They're supposed to be up there representing us, and if they don't hear our voices, they're not going to represent us. You know, that's the only way we can hold them accountable. So anyway, I guess I'll get off that little rant right now. Back to Matt's. It was a great time. I don't even know what the turnout was. I know that there was more trucks there on Wednesday back at Papa John's as far as people that were attending than what I've ever seen. Papa John's lot was full back there. And there were some top shelf trucks, as always, represented in the Paul K. Young show. There you go. That's right. Partnering with them is the best thing you can do. That's a great way to look at it. You know, they're looking. They truly do care. It's a partnership. Well, us and the government. Anyway, back to the Matt's deal. We myself and a few of my friends, you know, we got there and we did like everybody else. We split up, kind of went and saw what we wanted to see, and then we all kind of joined back up. You know, the thing I found about Matt's is you might go to that show, you might go by yourself, but when you leave there, you're going to feel like you're part of a family again, as well as you're always going to make new friends. Pretty fortunate with some of the friends I've got. We ended up with people over at the house that we rented not far from there through one of the online reservation deals. There were several of us rented a place together and kind of ended up being a gathering place. And the next thing you know, neighbors that lived in the neighborhood were over there checking out what we were doing on. Thank goodness we had somebody there that actually brought something to the table. I had somebody on the front porch picking a guitar, and we were all just sitting there kind of having a good time, and that drew other people in, and they started asking questions, you know. And there it is. We're the representatives of the trucking industry, so hey, why not represent it the best way we can instead of being the guy that's running people off the road or perceived as running people off the road? Get out there and make a difference, you know. Introduce yourself to people that are not in the trucking industry, but get to know people that aren't. Let them look behind the old curtains, so to say, from the Wizard of Oz. You know, see who's pulling the strings. You know, we as the trucking industry, we're the ones that make a difference. We're the ones that make sure the shelves are stocked. And if you ever get to feeling down about what you're doing, you know, just look at the big picture. You do make a difference. You know, you're providing for your family as well as your neighbors' families and a lot of families that you're never going to meet. So, you know, we've got to look out for each other and get this back to being a brotherhood. That's what it started as. Everybody always wants to talk about, you know, back in the day. Well, guess what? This is the day. We are the day. We can't look in the past. We've got to dwell on the future and try to make it better for, you know, where the industry is headed, as well as trying to keep things corralled up and make a meaningful difference. So anyway, I'll get off that soapbox right now. Thank you all for tuning in. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We'll be back next week, and my right-hand man, T-Bone Tyler Novak, he'll be joining me next week, and hopefully we will get some of these problems ironed out. Thank you all for tuning in, and don't forget to stop by if you're down in Tennessee at the Davy Crockett Travel Center and tell them that Chrome and Steel Radio sent you. You know, like I said, you can't ask for a better bunch of people, as well as the old trucker stick. One of my friends picked one of those up, and I said, "How do you like it?" And he said, "You know, I never thought about using one of these. I picked one up at a truck stop." And he said these things actually work. So I believe they're about $12 at the TA Petros if you buy the St. Christopher Fund one, and a portion of that actually goes to St. Christopher Fund. So, you know, they're all about helping drivers help themselves. So anyway, we will see you all next week, and remember, this is the day and we are the they. Have a great day, and y'all be safe out there. Thanks a lot for tuning in.